Hi guys, I hope you are doing well. At this session or the last session of this season 1, we're gonna model the elliptical bridge. Till now we have been working on 2D drawings and some commands like pipes, and I know that there are some limitations for you and for us for modeling such a project since some of the parts haven't been instructed. But at this session we're gonna model this elliptical bridge by using just our current knowledge till the end of the first season actually. But I will do this project in a more professional manner, and then you will be given this file, and I'm gonna ensure you that by the future session you will be able to model this elliptical bridge more professional. And I want you to watch this practice or this session again later. Right now let's check out the images of the elliptical bridge. Here the most important parts of the bridge are the two parallel lines and also the circle which is around the lines, and the lines in the circles are divided into some parts, and the points are associated to each other by some lines, and then the lines have been converted to pipes. And here we got some dimensions, some details for developing the accuracy of the project and presenting the model in high details that unfortunately we don't want to get through details. So we're gonna sketch the model relatively, or in other words estimately. Here by using lines commands, I pick line by midpoint. I started from the origin point, then I extended from the two sides, for example 30 meters for each side, that the total value will be 60 meters like this, as you can see. Then by using the gumball I move it a little bit along the x-axis. Then by using control point curve I'm gonna continue the two ends of the line or the straight line by this way, as you can see. However, we call it CP curve as well. Let me disable ortho. Then I sketch the curve in this manner. I select it. Then I type mirror command or MI. Then by specifying an axis or start of mirror plane, midpoint, I hold down shift. Then I mirror the curve at the other side, like this way. I select the whole curve, then I join them to each other, since I'm gonna consider the whole curve as a single line. And then by using mirror command, I mirror the line or curve from the origin point at the other side, as you can see on the screen. Then I can import the image of the bridge into Rhino. For instance, I open this. I'm gonna import this into Rhino and then locate it at one of the views by click and drag. I release it into the view. Then in image options I choose picture and then I click on OK. Well done. Then I want to place or locate the image on the green axis. I open right view, then I place it here. Then I adjust the position of the image, for example by this way, and then I scale it. To adjust the size of the dimensions of the image, I hold down shift. To scale the image into directions of X and Y by this way. But if I do not hold down shift, I can't scale the image in both directions. Like this, let me adjust the position by this way. Then I want to specify 2 points in the scene, and then consider them as the auxiliary points to help me in sketching the other parts. I disable grid snap, then I want to specify a point, so the marker is not restricted to the grids. I specify a point here and then the other point. Let me pick point at this part. Let's check it out in the perspective view. As you can see in the screen, I select the image, and after that I hide the image by pressing Ctrl H, and then I'm gonna work on the points. Following that, we're gonna sketch an arc. So in the sidebar, I open the arcs actually. In the set of arcs, I choose arc center start angle, and then from the origin point till another point by this way. Let's check it out in the perspective view. Well done. Here there is an important point that you will learn it later. For example, instead of sketching the arc, we can sketch a circle and then divide it into two arcs, or actually semicircle, or even we can scale it. Since here if I look at the image closely, as you can see, it is not a circle actually. It is more close to the ellipse. But we're gonna consider it as a circle, not an ellipse. Well done. I keep on going in sketching. In top view, arc 3 points, start and end point on arc. I specify the first point and then the end point like this by holding down shift, and I click on the midpoint. Here as you can see we got two arcs. I select them in the perspective view. Then in the right view, by using the gumball, I rotate the arcs by this way, by this way. Let me move it and adjust the position. As you can see, I'm adjusting the position based on the points that I have put them based on the important image. Then we will have this arc. As you can see, here I select the greater line that I had. Then by pressing down Ctrl L, I lock this line. Since I want it to be unselectable, as you can see, it is not selected. And then the line here we got is going to be considered as the line which is going to be divided into some parts based on the images. Let me show you the image. As you can see, this is divided into some part, and the reason here is that we want to put the gap in the circle into consideration. In the continuation I will show you. So in the scene I select this arc which is joined, and then the arc. Then in the set of points tools, divide curve by length. I right click, actually divide curve by number. Then I want to specify the number of the segments. Since I want the arcs to be divided based on the specified number, I type 36 by this way. Then the 2 points that were sketched according to the image, I select them and I hide them by Ctrl H. They are not required. Actually, at this stage of the process, we'd better to lay out the division of the points. Actually, I'm talking about the points, the lines, and the pipes that we'd better to put them into some layers, but in the future sessions we will work on layers and the layouts. So by then you will be able to consider the layers. But in the continuation, let us connect the points to each other. I pick single line, then I sketch the first lines to each other. Then I want to skip 2 of the points in the arc. I connect the second point in the curve to the 4th point in the curve arc actually. And then in the next stage, I connect the 5th point in the arc to the 5th point in the curve by this way, as you can see. And then I continue the pattern like this. I move forward to connect the points. Thanks for being patient. And while you are associating these points to each other, note that you should enable these object snap off points, since we should start our single lines exactly from the points as you are concerned. I keep on going. Wait for a second to complete the connections. Well done. Then I'm gonna select all of the created lines. I hold down shift and then by click and drag I can select them by this way, and then I'm gonna group them, or pressing down Ctrl G, then I can consider them as a single object or a group, so then we can select them easier. Then I type SELPT to select the points, and then Ctrl G to ungroup the points so that we can select them together. Ctrl H to hide them by this way. Then I get back to the image of the elliptical bridge to check out it. Right now we have created the main cables. I don't want to consider the thickness of the cables. We will talk about the thicknesses later. But right now we're gonna start sketching the secondary cables. And as you can see, between each 2 main cables, we got 5 secondary cables by this way. And if I want to sketch 5 secondary cables, in other words, if I want to divide the part or the gap into 5 points. Let me check it. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Following that, in the division process, I should divide it into 6 parts, since as you can see we got 6 empty parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we need 6 empty parts between each two main cables, and also 5 points and 6 segments. Then we will have the secondary cable. And if I zoom in, you can see we got the similar cables. Following that, I select one of these lines, these in which we got some curves and also the arc or semicircle, both of them. And then by using divide curve by number of segments, but this time I wanna multiple 36 into 6. So as you can see in the command line, we can define our mathematical operations instead of directly specifying a value like division, multiplication, subtraction. I mean, there's no need to use calculator, since we are free to specify the mathematical operations too here. And then I press enter. Check this out. This is the result of 36 into 6, that we have divided the curves by the specifying the number of the segments, and right now we got 216 segments. Well done. I'm gonna start the command of single line again, but the reason that I'm using single line is that we are allowed to sketch only a single line, and after the line was sketched, the command will be cancelled, so we don't have to press enter since we are not using polyline. So let us continue sketching the secondary lines. 5 lines, 5 points actually, and then some points there. So right now I'm gonna select the points sequentially and then connect them to the other points in the curve or arc in the semicircle, 2 in between, I mean every 2 points. So we skip 2 points, and then we go for the 4th point, which is connected to the another point and the curve. Again, I should skip 2 points, and every 2 points I connect it to the another point. Well done. I keep on associating the points to each other by the technique that I explained. And note that you have to leave or skip 2 points between each point that you connected to the another point, since it is possible that to select an alternative point and making some mistakes which ruins the order. Anyway, I move forward, and I hope that you have get your project done before starting to watch this video. Let me complete this. Thanks for your patience. For being patient. As you can see, we got 5 lines and 6 segments between each 2 main cables by this way. I skip 2 points. Very well. And I recommend you to check your model after connecting the lines to each other, since you may have making some mistakes accidentally. Check the order, check the manner that, or the layout, the number of the points, the number of the segments. It seems that it's gonna take some minutes, but no matter. Thanks for following the stages step by step. Very well, let me check it. As you can see, as I zoom out, we can observe some triangles shapes, Following that, the differences in the thicknesses of the cable makes the triangles outstanding, so that we can distinguish them better in the first sight. Let me complete the other parts. Actually, I can't wait anymore to show you the fascinating result of the elliptical bridge. And I hope you have done this project, this practice successfully. And I know all of you may have considered this practice very complex and complicated and difficult to handle, but when we look at the project closely, we understand that it is not that much difficult. Then we can handle it by just being patient and working attentively with high details and accuracy, and also focus. But I'm looking forward to show you the result. And by the end of the session, or by the end of the season actually, since we are recording the last session of the season 1, you can ask me your questions, but don't forget to practice all of the given lessons, and the details that were taught in season 1 are considered as the prerequisite to start the second season. And if you do not put them into consideration, I promise you that you will have some challenges, since the processes are getting difficult, and more complicated as we move on. Anyway, if few points are left, wait for a second. Very well, and I sketch the last line by this way. And the next stage that I want to do is to select the new lines that just have been sketched, and then I want to group them. So by click and drag a window, I can select them, and then I can deselect the items that I don't want them to be selected, or I can search for SELCRV to select the curves by this way. Then I hold down Ctrl button and then deselect the extra lines like these, the straight line, and also the semicircle, and also the first line or the main cables, and then the semicircle. I select them and then I press Ctrl G to ungroup them by this way. Check this out. In the next stage, we should select the points as I did at the last stage, and then ungroup them for hiding them. Select point, Ctrl G to ungroup them, and then Ctrl H to hide them. Then I need to select the semicircle or the arc, Ctrl H to hide it. And then here we got a line or the main line. I press Ctrl L to unlock it. Check this out by this way. Then I select the entire lines or curves. Instead of these, I deselect it. I type mirror command in the command line, MI. Then I start the command. I sketch the axis from the midpoint, origin point. Then I mirror it at the other side, like this way. So, as you can see, the elliptical bridge is getting completed. And previously I was talking about this distance between these two lines. I select these two curves or arcs and then I join them. Then we will have the circle or the ring, and then I select the two groups of the main cables. After selecting the two groups, I press Ctrl G to ungroup these two groups, and then the secondary cables, Ctrl G to ungroup them, then selecting points from the command line to hide them. Well done. And the next stage is creating the railings, as you can see at the side of the bridge. And for sketching the railings, at first I should select these two parallel lines, and then by using isolate command that I will talk about isolation later. Here I can find it in visibility tab in a standard. In the toolbar, isolate objects. However, I can get access to isolate in pop-up too by clicking on the wheel of the mouse. I select these two lines, I hold down Alt, and then by using gumball, I move it upwards to make a copy. If I want to specify the value, I hold down Alt, then I click then I can import the value manually. For example, 1 meter by this way. In the continuation, I'm gonna consider the incline or the sloped part. And while the two lines were selected, I'm gonna use scale in order to maximize the offset between these two lines by this way, as you can see. Let me check the breadth again in the image. And for the division of the lines for creating the railings, we can multiple 36 into 2. Nearly we will have 72 points or whatever you want, it is optional. Then we will have the division of the points like this, 72. After that, by using select last created object, I'm gonna select the created points. However, we can get access to this command by just searching cell last in command line. Check this out, cell last, then the points will be selected. Ctrl G to ungroup them. Then I pick single line again. Then in the continuation, as you can see on the screen, I'm gonna sketch the single lines, and after that, by using mirror, I can complete the half of it, and then for the another part or another half, I can use mirror. So let's start by this way. I connect the points to each other by single line. I type ZE in the command line for zooming extent. Then I can observe the points better. I associate the points like this way. I zoom in. Well done. To complete the railing. Guys, I'm gonna respect your patience. Like this way. As you can see, this is more simpler than the another one, but till here is enough. I can select these, and then by using mirror command, at first by using Ctrl H, I hide the points. Then I select the curves, SELCRV, but I deselect the parallel lines or the main lines. Then by using mirror, I specify the end of the mirror plane like this way. Here I delete the overlapping line. Again, I'm gonna select the curves. Again, deselecting. I hold down Ctrl and then I deselect these. Ctrl G to create a group. Then I make a copy for placing them at the other side for mirroring, as you can see. Then I have to select the set of lines and then ungroup them and then hide. Ctrl H, and I want to select these four parallel lines to create a group. However, we can have two groups from the bottom lines and the top lines to consider them together. So by this way, I can select the lines that their thicknesses are equal to each other, since the bottom lines are going to have an equal thickness. I press Ctrl plus Shift plus H to unhide or to display everything. Then in the filters, I check curves. I sketch a window, then I press enter, since I want the lines to be shown in the scene. By this way, as you can see on the scene. And the next stage that we're gonna go through is creating these trusses, as you can see. Let me show you the other pictures of it. In the continuation, we're gonna sketch such a truss, and even we can associate the points to each other. So back to the project, I select these single lines by this way, and then I isolate them. After that, in the right view, here I'm gonna sketch a line. So by using interpolate curve, and then check this out, I start sketching the curve, the interpolate curve like this. Since if we look at the model closely, let me show you the images. We got a slope part or an inclined part at the bottom of the bridge. So let's get back to the project. Here even I can select these lines and then explode them by this way. Ungroup, explode, and then since we're gonna start sketching the truss from this point, in the right view I select the line to check the direction and then I scale these. I minimize it by this way, and approximately the size is properly adjusted. However, if I maximize the size a little bit, it would be great. Well done. Here, but how can I sketch these trusses? Let me show you them. Check this out. I'm gonna start with to explode the joint line actually. Here it is, I'm gonna explode it. As you can see, the line is already exploded, and then the number of these single lines, I mean, for knowing the count of the points, I should calculate the number of the single lines. And here, as you can see, we got 146 open curves in the group. To divide them into two, so we got 73 lines at each side. Actually, I'm gonna subtract 5 from since we got 5 extra lines at each sides. So finally we got 63 single lines. So here we got 63 lines and 62 segments as I showed you. So I select these two lines, then I start the command of divide by number of segments, then I specify 62 for it. Then by using polyline, let me check out the truss in the image. It has been started from the top part, so I start sketching the truss from the top curve, then I continue by this way like a zigzag manner. I can open the right view actually, in order to speed up the process of sketching. Zigzag lines. We have to sketch 63 lines. So it takes some time for finishing the truss at the bottom part of the bridge. Some parts are left. Very well. By this way, let me show you in the perspective view that the trusses are created. Again, I can use mirror command. Then I enter 0. I press enter. I hold down shift. I make a copy and then I place it. To complete the other side truss, like this way. Then I select the both sides trusses. Ctrl G to ungroup them, and then I hide them. After that, I need to sketch a line here. Check this out by this way. Since in the continuation we're gonna have some other connections between the points at the center, I select the line, then by using copy command, then I make copies to paste it at the next points. We can keep on making copies, but before that, in the options I enable from last point, I set it to yes, and then use last distance and also use last direction. Then I edit the top view. Then by this way I start clicking on the points. Then I can duplicate the line so quickly. However, in the future sessions I will give you some tricks and techniques for duplications. One more copy is left. Well done. Then this should be the result. Then by by sketch a window or by click and drag, I select these lines, Ctrl G to ungroup them. Then in the pop-up, I right click on isolate for cancelling the isolation, or to display the other curves or lines. I select the points, then I hide them by Ctrl H. However, I ungroup them at first, then Ctrl plus Shift H. Then I select these lines to display them in the scene. Check this out. So till now, as you are watching the scene, we have completed the skeleton of the project or the model by this way, and in the continuation I'm gonna specify the desired thicknesses for each of the parts of the bridge by using the command of pipe. Firstly, I select the main circle, then I start the command of pipe. I should specify the radius for it, 32 centimeters for example. Then I apply it. Check this out. Then if I want to display the surface, I press Ctrl plus Alt plus S to show the pipe in the shaded mode. As you can see, display mode is set to shaded. After that, I'm gonna select the main cables of the project. Then I type pipe in the command line. Then I specify the radius 9.15 as the radius of the main cables. Well done. After that, at the next stage, I'm gonna select the secondary cable and then consider the thickness for them. I press space to start the command of pipe. Then I specify 0.5 for the thickness of the secondary cables. So here we got a difference in the thickness of the cables, as you can see on the screen. After that, I'm gonna select the lines of the bridge, but before that I should join them since they have been exploded. So at first I select every single part and this one. Then I click on join command to join these lines. Then Ctrl G to ungroup them. After that, pipe. Then I should specify the pipe radius, 0.1. It is enough. Check it out. Then I select the railings. I select the both sides. Then I type pipe. I should specify the radius, 9.03 or 3 centimeters. Then this part of the railing, 0.04 or 4 centimeters. After that, it's the trusses turns. I specify 6 centimeters as the radius. Very well. And after that, I want to choose the group of parallel lines like this way, as you can see on the screen. Then for the radius of these, I specify 0.04. Very well. After that, by using the command of selecting curves, I select the curves, all of the curves, Ctrl H. Then by pressing down Ctrl plus R, Alt plus R, I set the display mode to rendered preview. Then this is the rendered preview version of the elliptical bridge. And the last part of the bridge that we should create for are these 3 lines. So to do this, let's get back to the project. I can press Ctrl plus Z in order to get access to the lines of the model. Then by clicking on curve, I want to choose only the lines. Then I enable the isolate command. Then I'm gonna sketch multiple lines between these 2 lines. So in the front view, here I can divide the lines by points. I activate the snap of near. I hold down shift to sketch straight lines like this. I select these 3 lines, Ctrl G to ungroup them by this way, then pipe, and for the radius of the pipes, 0.2, I disable the isolation like this way. By this way, after that, I start the command of selecting curves, Ctrl plus H, then I set the display mode to render preview in order to show you the result of the project. So as I showed you in this video, by using some simple commands and also sketching lines and curves and points and the points divisions by number segment, addition to some other commands like joining, exploding, and grouping, hiding and unhiding, we managed to create such an elliptical bridge that it may seem to be complex, but we succeeded to. We managed to sketch it only by using these simple commands. I want you to do this practice, and then you can share the image of your result, the result of the project, if you were interested.